It seemed like everything came back to life. Windows with new glass and walls painted with fresh paint. I heard playful laughter. Oh my gosh, I am so glad that I turned on the light. Saw translucent children joyfully running and frolicking in their yard. Harsh camp leader on the threshold, holding a basket with ripe apples in her hand. Old cleaning lady minded and taking a nap in shade. I got such chills. Of course, my imagination was playing tricks, but the old camp itself was so similar to all post-apocalyptic pictures I had seen that these visions were of no surprise. I stood undecided for a long time before I dared to go further. After all, I'm here to find Shrek. Though I still don't get what he might be doing here, if he's even here. Boots somewhere nearby doesn't mean anything. However, if he was not eaten by wolves, for some reason it seemed like there were no wolves in this forest, this must be the only place where he might be hiding. I accurately crossed the yard, pushing the tall grass apart, trying not to run into some piece of metal. But I stopped in the doorway, hesitating. Impenetrable heavy darkness looked at me from inside. Even in the bright moonlight, I could not reach any object or silhouette. My head was filled up with different thoughts that it's better for me not to go any further and run away quickly. But I pulled myself together, turned on the flashlight, and stepped over a threshold. Inside the building looked a typical kindergarten. I still remembered my childhood days, and so everything here looked very familiar. Sleeping room with lines of beds standing close to each other, a large playing room, toilets, dining room, and utility rooms. Signs of the past children's joy was seen everywhere. From time to time, the flashlight helped me draw my attention to a decaying doll, or a plastic toy car, or a punctured rubber ball, or a broken rank of tin soldiers. There was a faded— oh my gosh, that pop-up just scared me. There was a faded with age book on the table. I flipped through a few pages. It was a story I read a long time ago, back in my childhood. Something about the war. Enemies destroyed the kindergarten, and all of its kids hid in their little basement together with a bunch of adults, while bombs were exploding up on the surface. I don't remember the end of the story, but as far as I remember, nobody died. Looking at the illustrations, all emotions, fear, sadness, sympathy to the poor children, and sense of hopelessness which I had experienced while reading this book came over me. It's strange that under exactly these conditions, right here and now I found this book. Probably there's somebody who manages the ongoing, who writes scenario for this absurd play, who sews costumes for local pioneers, and draws sceneries with like this abandoned camp. To tell the truth, he is very talented, attention paid to even the most minor of details. So is the writer of this story like... okay. Although it was the book that we were looking at. Although this place was abandoned a long time ago, everything here seemed to be untouched. Of course, time didn't spare this camp. In so many years, it was oftenly visited by the locals. Just a perfect place for young people hitting their puberty. They could drink alcohol, indulge in amorous pleasures, or simply burn everything down just for fun. Electronic mentioned this place is full of its legends. Legends of ghosts and devils living here. Legends of leagues. Leagues of legends. Okay. Take at least the story about the camp leader who committed suicide. In my world, nobody would believe that this could stop somebody, but in this reality, everything is possible. Certainly, the fear didn't disappear, but I decided that since I came here, let's take it to the end. The building was small, so it wasn't difficult to inspect it fully, but I didn't find any signs of Shrek. Maybe— I keep burping. Maybe I should just call him out. But on the other hand, it's not a good idea. Frustrated, I sat on the bench in the lobby inside. "Ghosts, where are you?" I asked the camp, and all of a sudden I noticed a strange deepening in the corner. Small hatch ajar. Adult would hardly squeeze in it, and it seemed to me that it had been recently opened as the dusk was cleared around. And so it's here where I need to get scared. Oh, so Shrek reached somewhere. What might be lurking beneath? A basement? What was he doing there? Oh my gosh, the sound scared me too. I fully opened the hatch and pointed the flashlight into the darkness. There was a ladder going down a couple of meters, jibbing into a concrete floor. There was a low, narrow corridor disappearing in the darkness. I hesitated for a time. On the one hand, I had absolutely no desire to go down, but on the other hand, if Shurik was really there, I swore loudly and began to descend. Oh my gosh, I saw a movie that... Oh no. Downstairs was so dark that even the flashlight didn't help much. Low ceilings, wires extending along the walls, broken lamps clad in iron bars. Oh, that's a pretty nice picture, actually. We've seen it all somewhere. I slowly started to move deeper into the dungeon. Road went down, and after a dozen of meters ended up with stairways with high steps. Soon I found myself in front of a massive metal door. There was a sign painted on it. I looked closely and realized that it was a biohazard sign. No wonder, if the old camp was built after the war, it lasted until the 70s. So it's an ordinary bomb shelter and there's nothing to be afraid of. However, these thoughts made me even more scared. And it's just an ordinary bomb shelter. I made a decision and opened the door, which immediately shut with a sharp sound as soon as I stepped through the doorway. I shuddered strongly so that my hands began to tremble and my eyes darkened. Please turn on the flashlight! I regained consciousness after a few seconds, and only then I realized that apparently a strong spring was attached to the door. I found myself in quite a spacious room. In the beam of the flashlight, I could see a double bed, some cabinets along the walls, and several devices of unknown purposes located in the far corner. It seemed that this bomb shelter was never used. Nobody ever came here. The beds were made, which is strange by itself. I carefully looked around the room several times. The cabinets were filled with gas masks, chemical protective suits, dry rations, various domestic dribs and drabs. Devices which purposes I could not at first determine were gauges of radiation, air pressure, and temperature. It was a typical bomb shelter, in short. I've never been in such places, but that's how I imagined it. The only thing remained unexplored was the door at the far end of the room. I pulled the handle, but the door remained closed. If someone recently came down here, and he wasn't found in a room, then it would be logical to assume that he was behind this door. I called out in a whisper, "Shurik?" No reply. Maybe he locked himself. But why? It was unclear what to do next. On the one hand, I could come back tomorrow with help, but for some reason I thought behind this door I could find answers that can't wait to be found. Once again, I walked across the room and took a crowbar from the corner. I picked the door bottom with it and tried to rip it from its hinges. Oddly enough, after a while I did it. Good, it was not as massive as the previous door. Oh, door gave up and slammed on the floor. I took a breath and pointed the flashlight into its passage. There was a corridor vanishing in the darkness, the same one which got me here. ... Oh no, I don't like this. It's so uneasy. Oh, it's unsettling. Oh, the walls were getting closer together. My head almost touched the ceiling, but I could not make out the end of the corridor. I walked carefully, looking at the ground. This was the reason that I did not fall into the pit. The hole was about 1.5 meters in diameter, and there was an earth at the bottom instead of concrete. It seems that the hole was caused by an explosion. It wasn't too big. I could easily get out later. Oh, after I jumped into the hole, I found myself in a semblance of a miner's drift. This area is so varied. It's got like a camp on top, and a bomb shelter, and a mine. Walls and ceilings were reinforced with wooden beams. The tunnel was so long that my flashlight was insufficient. ... A few minutes later, I found myself at the crossroads. It's too dangerous to go further. I can get lost. I decided that would be a good idea to somehow indicate the place from which I would begin the journey into the labyrinth. So I picked up a stone and made quite a big notch on the wall. So, go left or go right? Hey, I came to some kind of miner's camp. Picks and helmets everywhere, a rusty wagon stood in the corner. All items were so old they dated rather from the beginning of the 20th century than from the middle. So this is really a mine, which means I can be walking here on and on without finding a way out. But I sensed that the exit was somewhere nearby and went further. Oh gosh. I was just here a few minutes ago. Let's go right. And this place where I began. Oh, finally I came out of the tunnel in a pretty large, high-ceiling room. It could hardly be called a room, seeming that something was mined here. Coal, or gold, maybe. All the walls were hacked by pick or rock breaker. Total darkness reigned here, so the flashlight was my only savior. If it broke, it would be highly unlikely I would ever get out. In the ray of light, I noticed a piece of red cloth. Pioneer's necktie. Now it's clear that Shurik is somewhere here. Shurik! Shurik! Only echo replied back. But where could he go? There was no other way out. Maybe there are other places in these tunnels that I didn't see. So should I search further? Oh my gosh!
Which map? Alternate. Just have to keep alternate. Oh. Left.
Hey! A door appeared from the darkness around the last turn. Oh my gosh, this is creepy. Hey, it's the beginnings of Google. I opened it and went inside the small room. Nobody was here except... Oh my gosh, I just scared me. Shurik, who sat in the corner. Shurik! He stared at me with eyes full of terror. Ah! Don't come! Shurik, it's me, Semyon. I won't give up just like that. He got a piece of reinforcement bar from behind his back and started waving it around. Shurik, what's wrong with you? Calm down. First you bring me here, then take me through this mine. Now you're pretending to be Semyon. He must have gone nuts completely. Shurik, calm down. Nobody pretends to be me. I'm actually me. I tried to talk as calm as I could, but was feeling nervous almost more than him. Semyon? He squinted. Is that really you? Yes! And now tell me what happened. How did you get here? Shurik recovered his breath and started to talk. I needed some parts for the robot, and I heard that there was a bomb shelter in the old camp, and there should be some instruments there. I got up in the morning and went. He stopped for a minute, trying to deal with the tremor in his hands. I found suitable parts, but then I've read a primal fear in his eyes. The voices, they told me to go here. I went down the mine, and they were telling me to go to the right, then the left, then right, then left, then right, then left. He started to laugh hysterically, but now they won't get me. I'll be sitting here. They won't find me here. He once again started to wave his pipe in the air. Shurik, there is no one there. I wasted quite a lot of time walking in the mine like you, but I haven't heard any voices. He fixed his eyes on me. Then you are with them! Shurik rushed towards me. This is music, though. Oh my gosh. I was just barely able to dodge him. But the flashlight wasn't as lucky. It took a full force of Shurik's strike. We found ourselves in complete darkness. Now it's my turn to lose my mind. What have you done, idiot? I swayed with hand in the way where I expected Shurik to be, but with no avail. Okay, I'll read this the way it's probably meant to be spelled. I swayed with my hand in the direction where I expected Shurik to be, but with no avail. Now we both will die here. I got nothing but silence to return, then a quiet, hysterical laugh. It's alright. That's fine. I know where the exit is. Follow me. Follow you where? I can't see a darn thing. Follow my voice. I had no other choice. Here. Shurik's voice was heard somewhere further. How do you know where to go? I walked here all over. Then why didn't you leave? The voices. Quiet! They can hear us! In theory, I could believe that there were some supernatural forces here. In the Soviet... Sorry. In Soviet Not camp, it's just a daily thing to happen. But there were no reasons to panic yet. Though my hands were shaking without stop. Here, I was following his voice slowly and eventually lost track of time. It could be we were roaming a few minutes or a few hours. Finally, a dim light appeared in the distance. We're here. We reached the wall. I just read that twice. The way towards freedom was blocked with the lattice on the ceiling. I pulled myself up and recognized the square from the bits of landscape I could see. Pick me up! Shurik obediently followed my request. I started to hit the grating with my fists so hard as to a few strikes later all my arms were covered with blood. But grating in return gave in and folded aside. And a minute later we were out on the surface behind the monument of Genda, I don't know. When I saw this grating before, I had no idea that there could be catacombs below it. They will come for you. I fell to the ground tiredly. Who? They will come, said Shurik again and ran away. I was so exhausted that I could not even think about some voices, recalling some forsaken camp, bomb shelter, or the mine. Almost unconscious, I reached the camp leader's cabin. But I couldn't go to bed right away. Look who's here! Olga Dmitrievna! I tiredly, attempting to cut the explanation to its minimum. You said you were going for a walk, but instead, I was going to go and call the police, and Olga Dmitrievna, I can't wait till tomorrow, I'm really tired. Camp leader eyed all over me. Okay, fine. I was a bit surprised that she agreed so fast, but decided not to waste this opportunity, and quickly turned the light up and darted under the cover. And the blood covered my bedding, and we woke up, and I had bled out because we didn't deal with my arm. Oh, man. Yeah, I think this is gonna be all for now. Yeah, that's gonna be all for now. Oh, got some good footage, I guess. But for now, my name is Jalapapeno. This has been Everlasting Summer with my Blue Yeti microphone. And I will see you all later.